You're listening to the Public Health Entrepreneurs Podcast with your host, Dr. Charlotte Huntley. Greetings, everyone, and thank you for joining me on this episode. On this podcast, we explore topics of interest for professionals at the intersection of public health and entrepreneurship. My name is Dr. Charlotte Huntley, and I'm thrilled that you've decided to join me on this episode. I'm a public health entrepreneur with well over 20 years of experience in healthcare and in public health, and I've supported so many entrepreneurs along the way. This whole podcast is dedicated to public health entrepreneurs and everything under that umbrella. Now, I've been also a podcaster since 2017 and love using the podcast platform as a way of connecting with my community and sharing information. Now, it's June when this episode is released. Now, of course, I'm recording it early, so it's not June yet, but at the time that this is released, it's the month of June, beginning of June. And you may be listening to this at a very different time of the year, and that's okay. It's still relevant information, but I did want to put into context. June is a really good time to check in, like the mid-year point for your goals, but really any time is a good time to check in, and you'll hear me explain why in just a moment. Goal setting, first and foremost, should never be a set it and forget it exercise. You don't just, everybody gets excited about their goals at the beginning of the new year. They'll set a goal, set an intention, but then often kind of forget about it and get busy with the day-to-day and the keeping up with things. And you don't think about it again until you get to the end of the year. So I highly recommend, and I also teach this in our mastermind group program, setting a yearly goal, but then also breaking that down into quarterly goals, and then further breaking that down into monthly goals, and then go further and break it down into a weekly goal, and then even a daily goal. I think it helps us to stay focused and set intentions for what we're doing and how we're spending our time. It also helps us to know when to say yes to certain things and say no, because if it does not align with the goal that we set for ourselves, then it's a no. If it's something that moves us closer to that goal, it should be easier to say yes, right? Now, setting those goals, breaking them down to make it sound like it's super easy to do. It's not necessarily easy, but then again, it can be easy. It doesn't have to be difficult either. I think it's a matter of just actually doing it. So in our group mastermind program, we have a workshop where we sit down together and I walk everyone through it, and they set goals. And then we have activities throughout the mastermind, the online experience. It just kind of helps you go back to what your goals are. So for the sake of reviewing to stay on point, I think it's important to review your goals monthly, quarterly, and this mid-year point if you happen to be listening right now in June. So the end of June is a great time to review how far you've come so far. And then at we get to December. I think of December, or really for me, it's November, December, somewhere in that time frame. I've already set my goals, or I'm wrapping up my goal setting for the next year, because I like to have some downtime around the holidays. So I like to have my goals set, have some clarity. I meet with my team, and then we take a pause, or we slow down a little bit around the holidays. And then we kick off the new year already knowing what we're going to be doing, what we need to do. We hit the ground running, as opposed to starting the new year and then trying to decide what the goals will be. I'm not saying that that's a wrong way to go. It's just not the way that I like to go. I feel more energized going into the new year, already having completed that exercise, because then I take full advantage of the first quarter of the year and I know what I need to do in January, February, March. If I wait and start in January, then I feel like I've lost a little bit of time. That's my personal preference. So I teach it that way, but how you implement it, of course, it's your business and your plan, and you do it the way you like to do it. You do what fits and resonates with you. It's just the most important thing is to have some focus, a target, and a way of checking or reviewing for yourself. All right. Now, on the next episode, I am going to share with you, I want to do it separately from now because we have some guest interviews. I don't want because we do release podcast episodes twice a week. I don't want them to be all so long and intense for you. And it is summertime, so I'm breaking these down a little bit for you. In this episode, we're talking about the idea or concept of goals, because I do realize that a lot of you really have not set those goals, or other than the beginning of the year, or really hadn't thought about how that works. In the next episode, I'm going to focus a little bit on just more of a summer focused, how you can accomplish some things just specifically in the summer. If you happen to be listening right now, you can also apply that for any quarter, giving you lots of teasers for the next episode. But for right now, let's spend just a few more moments on this whole concept of goals, because you may feel like, well, I'm behind. I just won't worry about that until the end of the year and I'll just start fresh. I don't want you to do that either. And if you even started with a goal at the beginning of the year and now we are at the mid-year point, and you're like, well, I don't even remember what I said I was going to do. And I feel so far off from that. It's not meant to be overwhelming. You can always hit the reset button whenever you want. Remember, this is your business, your dream. You're building the business that is the business of your dreams, and it's what you want. So the goal, and I'm also thinking right now, I feel like I'm a little bit scattered because I got two thoughts in my brain at the same time. I'm thinking about those of you that are really well established in your business and you have maybe a large financial goal. You have a revenue goal, a number that you want to hit for this year. And you understand this concept of goal setting a little bit more. You know what you need to do. You know a little bit more about what's working in your business and what's not working and what you need to do to adjust. And you may be really on point with that. So for you, I'm going to say, take this month of June. Don't really spend the whole month on it, but take a look at your numbers. Compare, what you've done so far this year. How does that align with what that revenue goal you set for yourself for this year? And then look at what you have ahead of you. Look at the business that you already have in place, the client, the work that you already have contracted to do. Look at what's in your pipeline and do an assessment. Do you feel like you're on target for reaching that revenue goal that you set? Does it mean you need more clients? Does it mean that you need to shift in some way? Take a look and see where you are in that context. And nobody knows your numbers better than you. And sometimes you need to look at those reports that come from your bookkeeper. If you have a bookkeeper, they give you monthly reports that will let you see what your revenue is for each month, what your expenses are, what your profit is. So take a look at those numbers closely and see how you're doing. Compare your numbers. This is a good thing to do. Compare. You don't, of course, have your full first half a year, because this is, if you're listening in real time, this is the month of June. So you haven't even completed the month yet. But you can have all of your numbers up, including your report from, say, May. And the only thing that's missing are your numbers for June. But you already know, and again, I'm speaking to my seasoned entrepreneurs now, you already know what you have that you're working on, and you have expectations for revenue that will fall in this month. So you can put together a really good estimate of what your numbers will look like for this first half of the year at this point. And we don't need exact numbers. We just need a really good estimate to give us some sense of where we are with these goals and what needs to be adjusted or changed. I could go into the weeds with this, but I won't. I love this stuff. And those of you that have worked with me, you know how I feel about it. It wasn't always this way. This was the stuff I would avoid. As long as my bank account was not negative, we were good. That was my philosophy for a long time. So we have to kind of overcome a lot of those things, but this is a good test, a good time to see where we in business. Look at our expenses are important. So you may have a lot of revenue, and as your revenue increases, so will your expenses. And if you haven't realized that yet, just know it's coming. We just added to our team, and particularly Laura was part-time and now is full-time. That's a huge shift in payroll. So the expenses go up when we had to buy new equipment, more equipment, not replacing what we had, but additional equipment, laptops, multiple different types of equipment. So those things are added on when you do travel, it's great to have, a lot of, say, conference speaking and clients that are, want you to come in and work with them. But those expenses come along with it. Even if you're billing for it, that revenue goes up, but so do the expenses. So it's not that it's a bad thing. It's supposed to happen, but you want to look and see, make sure that you're being profitable. And you want to look and see, meaning you want to make sure that your revenue is higher than your expenses, and that difference is your profit. And you want it to be on that end. You don't want your expenses to be higher than your revenue. Then you have to look at what you have to cut out or stop. So at any rate, take a look at those things. That's how you should be looking at your numbers and setting your goals and set your expectations based on the goal you have set for yourself and what things are looking like at this point. There's plenty of time to course correct if you need to make adjustments. And there's plenty of time to still hit the revenue goal that you set for yourself. But if we're not assessing it or looking, we have no idea if we're close or not or where we are. And I think this is a great way it could serve as a motivator. Okay. Now, for those of you that are exploring and brand new and you haven't even gotten your first client yet, your goal may not be a revenue goal. Your goal may be, I'm going to niche down and do some beta testing. I'm going to niche down this topic, an ideal client type, and then I'm going to talk to some people. I'm going to do a little beta testing and see if this is something that people are interested in and motivated to pay for. Like that may be your goal for this quarter or for maybe the first half of the year. And then the second, once you know that this is where you want, this is validated, this is where people are spending their money, they're motivated to solve this problem and they're interested in working with me, then your goal may be, I want my first client. You just need to put your goal into perspective. And maybe you're even more beginner than that. Maybe you're just trying to decide if there's anything that you could even do as an entrepreneur that would be rewarding to you. Maybe you've worked in the field for quite a while. You've been in the industry for a while and you know a lot of different things, but you haven't figured out like what you could do that would feel right and aligned for you. And that your goal could be just to search that out and determine that. Then that's your goal. And then like, okay, what are you going to do to move you closer to that goal? Those are the things that you need to, when you decide this is what I want to do, then you set aside some tasks that will get you closer to that goal. And you break them down by quarter, by month, what you need to do week by week. And those are the things that can make goal setting and review exciting, because review is not a time for punishment. It's just to assess and see where you are compared to where you want to be. All right. I hope this is helpful. I don't want anyone to feel a negative implication from goals, like I didn't do this, or I'm so far behind, or I'm so far off. Nothing negative, but more as an opportunity to assess where you are. And it points to where you need to put your attention, efforts, and resources. And maybe it is a matter of, I need to hire some support or a coach or some more guidance, a deeper dive into whatever it is that you need to do to get you closer to your goals. So goal setting and goal review go hand in hand. Remember, you just can't, goal setting is not a set it and forget it exercise. So please don't do that. But even if it's been a while since you've reviewed your goals, or you didn't set one at the beginning of the year, it's okay. This is a great time to just pause or hit the reset button and start fresh. Maybe you don't even remember what the goal was you set. That's okay. Set one now. What would you like to see the end of the year? How would you like to wrap up the year? Think about it like that, and then set that goal and decide what you need to do to get there. All right. Now, we have some great resources in addition to the episodes on this podcast that I'd like to share with you. And it's really for any stage of where you are in this journey. Right now, we are working on some really exciting new resources, especially for those who are at the early stages or just exploring this entrepreneurial path. And that is because we've received we're not surprised. I know there are a lot of people looking for this type of support at the very beginning. And there are a lot of resources available out there, not, more so than there used to be. And people are often asking and want to hear from us. So that's one of the reasons why this podcast exists as a free resource to entrepreneurs on all phases of the journey. But if you're specifically really just getting started and looking for some resources and support, then check your inbox for emails that we send out, because we always notify our list first about what's going on and what's coming up. And we often ask for your feedback. We read those, any feedback you give us, my team, we read that. It matters to us. And that's how we create what we create. It's based on what you tell us that you are looking for or you need. So if you're not already receiving emails from us, just go to our website, which is publichealthentrepreneurs.com. Scroll all the way to the bottom. You'll see a little microphone icon and a button that says subscribe. Just opt in there and then just start keeping an eye on your inbox when we send out those emails so that you are in the loop. Okay, so those of you that are established, my entrepreneurs that have been in business for a while, you have your established business, anyone that has already gotten their first client or their first few projects, you're past that first point there of first client, first projects, or on the way up to whatever the big revenue goals you have. If you're in that category, then I encourage you to explore our mastermind group program. It is best suited for established entrepreneurs, and we work together online and as a strong, close community online. And then we gather together in person at a 2-day retreat, and you have the option to join that retreat twice a year. It is fabulous, wonderful opportunity. I am biased, but all of our attendees say the same thing. It is an incredible experience, and we've had entrepreneurs travel in from everywhere else. So our venues may change from location to location, which makes it fun. And we find that the location doesn't matter. They always say, we're going to be wherever you are. And we've had attendees show up from the UK, Guam, all over the US, and we're always thrilled. So if you are an established public health entrepreneur, then we encourage you to seriously explore that program, our mastermind group program, because it is a great resource for you. If you'd like to learn more, then please visit our website, publichealthentrepreneurs.com. Click on Mastermind. All of the details are there. Remember that we only invite people to join who have applied to the program. So if you look at all the information and you think, oh yeah, this is a great fit, I want to be a part, I want to learn more about that mastermind program, we encourage you to apply. We only open enrollment twice a year, and that's in June and December. And we only invite people who have submitted an application. All right, as we wrap up this episode, I'd like for you to help us spread the word about this podcast. I'm going to simply ask you to just share our website with someone in your network, publichealthentrepreneurs.com. That is one of the easiest ways. You can certainly share directly from the podcast app that you're listening to through a text or to social media. And then if you are on Apple Podcasts, then please consider writing a favorable review of this podcast if you're enjoying it, and give us a 5-star rating. We would absolutely be thrilled. Regardless of what option you choose, we just appreciate you helping us share about this podcast. All right, everyone. Until next time, have a fantastic rest of your day. Thank you for listening. Visit publichealthentrepreneurs.com to learn more.